General Taemin Choi had seen many wars during his time as a UN peacekeeper, but nothing had prepared him for this. He stood in the underground command center beneath Geneva, staring at screens showing the alien fleet positioned just outside Earth's solar system. 30 days to decide the fate of humanity. How many ships? He asked Admiral Sujin Kang, who was studying the sensor data. 412 that we can count, she replied. Each one bigger than anything we've ever built. But General, I've been looking at their formation patterns. What about them? They're not military formations, they're ceremonial. Look. She pointed to the main screen. Perfect geometric shapes with the biggest ships in front and smaller ones arranged by size. No overlapping fields of fire, no defensive positioning. It's like they're putting on a parade, not preparing for battle. Dr. Min Ho-jian looked up from his computer terminal. As Earth's top physicist, he had been trying to understand the alien technology. Admiral Kang is right. I've been analyzing the energy signatures from their ships. Their weapons are powerful, but they're designed for destroying stationary targets, not fighting other ships. What do you mean? Asked General Taemin. Think about it, said Dr. Minho. If every species surrenders immediately, you never need to fight a real battle. You just need weapons that look scary and can blow up empty planets as demonstrations. The general felt a small spark of hope. Are you saying they don't know how to fight? I'm saying they might not have had to fight in thousands of years. Admiral Sujin pulled up more data on her screen. I've been going through every military database we captured from their diplomatic ship. Want to know something interesting? The last actual war they fought was over 3,000 years ago. Since then, every battle has been against species that surrendered without firing a shot. That's impossible, said General Taemin. No military can function without combat experience. Unless, said Dr. Minho slowly, they stopped being a military and became a police force. Think about it. If everyone always surrenders, you don't need tactics or strategy. You just need to show up and look intimidating. A communications officer across the room called out, General, incoming message from the alien fleet. Put it on the main screen. The image showed a new alien, different from the crystal being they had met before. This one looked like a cross between a shark and a spider, with multiple arms and rows of sharp teeth. Its voice was harsh and grinding. I am War Prime Kethvar, military commander of the Dominion Fleet. Your time for consideration is nearly over. Surrender now or face the consequences. General Taemin stepped forward. This is General Choi of Earth Defense Forces. We have considered your offer. Our answer is no. The alien's teeth clicked together in what might have been anger. You dare refuse the Dominion? I have conquered 50 worlds. Conquered? Admiral Sujin stepped up beside the general. Or did they all surrender before you fired a shot? War Prime Kethvar went very still. That is irrelevant. They recognized superior power when they saw it. We see your power, said General Taemin. We're not impressed. Not impressed? The alien's voice became a roar. I will show you what happens to species that defy the natural order. Observe. The screen switched to show Mars and its 2 small moons. One of the alien ships, massive and covered in weapon ports, turned toward Phobos, the larger moon. We will destroy your moon as a demonstration, announced War Prime Kethvar. Then you will understand the futility of resistance. General Taemin felt his heart sink. They had no way to stop an attack on Phobos, but then Dr. Minho grabbed his arm. General, our orbital defense platforms around Mars, they're not finished, but they're operational. They're just research stations. No, sir. We modified them last week. Remember the magnetic field generators we were testing? We can link them together. Admiral Sujin caught on immediately. The rotating magnetic fields. If their weapons are energy-based, do it, ordered General Taemin. On the screen, the alien ship fired. A massive beam of purple energy lanced out toward Phobos. It should have turned the moon into vapor in seconds. Instead, the beam hit something invisible around Mars and bent away, dispersing harmlessly into space. War Prime Kethvar's image reappeared on the screen, his multiple eyes wide with shock. What? What did you do? Basic physics, said Dr. Minho. Something you apparently forgot during your 3,000 years of scaring primitives. Impossible. Our weapons are unstoppable. Against undefended targets, sure, said Admiral Sujin. But we're not undefended and we're definitely not primitive. General Taemin smiled for the first time in days. War Prime, let me explain something to you. Humans have been fighting wars for our entire history. Not against species that surrender immediately, but against other humans who fight back. We know things about warfare that you've apparently forgotten. You are Category 9, barely. Intelligent. Your categories are wrong, said the general. And now the whole galaxy is going to know it. Dr. Minho had been working on his computer while they talked. General, I just sent out a signal on all Dominion communication frequencies. Every ship, every planet they control just saw one of their unstoppable weapons fail against primitive humans. War Prime Kethvar's image flickered with rage. You will pay for this insult. I will bring the full might of the Dominion down on your pathetic world. Bring it, said Admiral Sujin. We'll be waiting. The transmission cut off, leaving the command center in silence. After a moment, General Taemin turned to his team. How long do we have? Based on their formation patterns, I'd say they'll need at least a week to reorganize into actual attack formation, said Admiral Sujin. They've been sitting in parade formation so long they'll need time to figure out how to fight. Dr. Minho looked up from his computer. General, we're getting responses to our broadcast. Messages from all over the galaxy. Some are confused, some are scared, but some what? Some are asking how we did it. General Taemin felt another spark of hope. Patch me through to Captain Kim on the Resilience. Captain Daeho's face appeared on a smaller screen. General, we saw what happened. Brilliant work. Captain, I need you to do something. Start broadcasting on all frequencies, not just to the Dominion fleet, but to anyone who's listening. Tell them exactly what we did and how we did it. Sir, for 3,000 years, these aliens have convinced the galaxy that resistance is impossible. But we just proved them wrong. If other species see that the unstoppable Dominion can be stopped, Dr. Yujin appeared next to Captain Daeho on the screen. The psychological impact could be enormous. If we can show that the Dominion isn't invincible. Exactly, said General Taemin. We can't fight 400 ships with what we have, but maybe we don't have to fight them alone. Over the next several days, something unprecedented began to happen. Messages started arriving from across the galaxy. Most were from subjugated worlds, asking if the human broadcast was real. Had someone really stopped a Dominion weapon? But some messages were different. A mining colony asked for technical specifications. A farming world wanted to know about magnetic field generators. A research station asked about orbital defense platforms. War Prime Kethvar sent increasingly angry demands for surrender, but his fleet remained motionless at the edge of the solar system. Admiral Sujin was right. They were struggling to reorganize, from ceremonial formation into battle formation. They really don't know how to fight, she told General Taemin. Look at this. She showed him sensor readings of the alien fleet. They're constantly changing formation, trying different arrangements. They're learning how to be a military force all over again. How long do you think we have? Maybe 2 more weeks before they figure it out? General Taemin nodded. Then, we better make those 2 weeks count. Dr. John, how are our defenses coming? Better than expected, sir. It turns out our primitive technology has some advantages. We can build and modify our systems much faster than they can adapt to them. And the broadcasts? Still going out on all frequencies. Captain Kim is now giving detailed technical lessons to anyone who asks. We've had over 200 worlds request information. Any responses from the Dominion government? Admiral Sujin pulled up another screen. Actually, yes. But they're not what you'd expect. We're getting complaints from Dominion bureaucrats about disruptive communications and requests to stop confusing the integrated species. General Taemin laughed. They're worried about paperwork while their fleet can't figure out how to attack us. It gets better, said Dr. Minho. I've been analyzing their technology more. Their ships are incredibly advanced, but they're also incredibly specialized. Each ship can only do one thing really well. They never learn to adapt because they never had to. What does that mean for us? It means if we can force them to do something they're not designed for, they'll struggle. And humans? We're very good at forcing enemies to fight on our terms. As if summoned by his words, alarms began sounding throughout the command center. The communications officer called out, "General, War Prime Kethvar is demanding immediate communication. Put him on screen." The shark spider alien appeared, looking even more agitated than before. "Humans, your disruption of galactic order ends now. Prepare for total destruction." "What's wrong, War Prime?" asked General Taman with a smile. Captain Jiwoo Nam had never imagined she would command Earth's first offensive fleet. 3 months ago, she was running supply missions to Mars. Now she stood on the bridge of the newly built Earthship Defiance, leading 12 vessels toward the Kepler 442 system. "Captain, we're approaching the mining world," reported her navigation officer. "Dominion ships detected, but they're in standard orbital patrol." Jiwoo smiled grimly. Standard patrol meant the same thing everywhere in Dominion space. Ships flying in perfect formation designed to look impressive rather than fight effectively. "How many?" 6 ships, Captain, all following the same flight pattern they've probably used for decades. Dr. Woo-Sok Lim looked up from his research station. As Earth's expert on alien societies, he had spent months studying intercepted Dominion communications. "Captain, the pattern is exactly what we expected. The mining overseer sends the same daily report. The patrol ships fly the same route. The workers follow the same schedule. Nothing has changed on this world in over a century." "Until today," said Jiwoo. "Prepare for attack. Remember, our goal isn't to destroy their ships, it's to rescue the miners." The Dominion patrol was completely unprepared for an attack. The 6 alien ships were massive and heavily armed, but they were spread out across the planet in a formation designed for show, not defense. When the Earth ships appeared and opened fire, the aliens were caught completely off guard. Engineer Ha-Yun Yoon's new ship designs proved their worth immediately. Where Dominion ships were large and slow, the human vessels were small and fast. Where alien weapons were powerful but predictable, human weapons were adaptable and precise. "First patrol ship disabled," reported the weapons officer. "Their shields are down, but the ship is intact." "Good. Move to the next target. Remember, we want prisoners, not corpses." Within an hour, all 6 patrol ships were floating helplessly in space, their crews alive but their ships powerless. The mining world below had gone silent, its overseers apparently too shocked to respond. "Captain," called the communications officer, "we're getting a transmission from the planet's surface." "Put it through." The voice that came through the speakers was unlike any they had heard before, clicking and chittering, but the translation software worked perfectly. "Unknown ships, this is Quinsara of the Mining Collective. Are you really fighting the Dominion?" Dr. Woo-Seok stepped forward. "Quinsara, I'm Dr. Lim from Earth. Yes, we're fighting them. Are you the workers on this world?" "Workers," the voice repeated with what sounded like bitter laughter. "We were once the Veltar civilization. We had cities and art and science. Then the Dominion came and decided we were only good for digging metals from the ground." Captain Jiwoo felt anger rising in her chest. According to their intelligence, the Veltar had been integrated into the Dominion over 400 years ago. 4 centuries of slavery. "Quinsara, we're here to offer you a choice. You can come with us to free space, or we can help you take back your world." There was a long silence. Then, choice? We had forgotten that word. Well, it's time to remember. Are there Dominion overseers down there? Yes, they live in the control complex, guarded by automated defenses. They never come out among us. Not anymore, they don't. We're sending down landing craft. Show us where they are. The rescue operation was almost too easy. The Dominion overseers had never imagined their slaves might rebel, so their defenses were designed only to keep workers from escaping, not to fight an actual attack. When human soldiers and Veltar rebels stormed the control complex together, the overseers surrendered immediately. But the most important moment came when Quinsara met Captain Jiwoo face to face. The Veltar leader was insectoid, with 4 arms and compound eyes, but her posture spoke of barely contained rage. For 400 years we believed the Dominion could not be defeated. Every story, every lesson, every day reminded us that resistance was impossible. And now, asked Jiwoo, now we see their ships floating powerless in our sky, and their overseers in our prison cells. Now we remember that we have choices. Dr. Wusiak was recording everything. This conversation would be broadcast across the galaxy within hours. Quinsara, what will you do now? First, we will rebuild our civilization. Then, we will help others remember theirs. Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds over the following weeks. Captain Jiwoo's fleet wasn't the only one operating. Earth had built 20 small battle groups, each targeting different Dominion colonies, not to conquer them, but to show them that conquest could be resisted. The psychological effect was devastating to the Dominion. On the capital world of Hegemonia, High Curator Zelmoth faced a crisis unlike anything in 3,000 years of rule. 17 mining worlds have gone silent, reported Senator Mordoon, his metal form shifting anxiously. 23 agricultural colonies are reporting worker disruptions, and worst of all, we're receiving direct communications from integrated species demanding negotiations. Negotiations? Zelmoth's ancient voice was filled with disbelief. There is nothing to negotiate, there is order or there is chaos. High Curator, said a new voice. Ambassador Vexithai entered the chamber, his crystal form pulsing with rapid, nervous light. The human broadcasts are being received on every world in the Dominion. They're teaching other species how to build weapons, how to organize resistance, how to what? How to say no. Zelmoth rose to her full massive height. Then we will remind them why no one says no to the Dominion. Activate the final arbiter. The chamber fell silent. Even Senator Mordoon stopped shifting. High Curator, that weapon hasn't been used in 5,000 years. Perhaps it's time to remind the galaxy why. The final arbiter was a moon-sized construct, built by the Dominion's predecessors as the ultimate symbol of authority. It was a weapon capable of destroying entire star systems, kept in storage at the galaxy's edge as a reminder of what happened to those who defied the natural order. But as the ancient weapon began its slow journey toward the Sol system, something unprecedented happened across the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for millennia began to help each other. On the liberated mining world of Kepler 442, Quinsara received a message from a farming colony 3 star systems away. We have food surplus. We hear you need supplies to rebuild. How do we send them? On another world, a species that had been forced to manufacture Dominion technology for centuries sent detailed plans to human engineers. These are the weak points in their ship designs. We have been waiting 800 years to share this knowledge. Even more shocking, some Dominion loyalists began to defect. Ambassador Korthul of the Hegemony Council sent a secret message to Earth. I have served the Dominion for 200 years. I believed in the natural order. But I have been studying your species, and I have discovered something in our oldest archives that changes everything. The message included ancient historical records that made Dr. Wusiak's eyes go wide when he read them. Captain Jiwoo, you need to see this. What is it? The Dominion itself was founded by a rebellion. 5,000 years ago, they fought against an even older empire that claimed to represent the natural order. The current Dominion leaders have forgotten their own history. They've become exactly what their ancestors rebelled against. Archive keeper Zephyros, one of the few beings old enough to remember the early days, confirmed the truth in a broadcast that shocked the galaxy. I was there when we overthrew the ancient empire. We fought because we believed all species deserved freedom to choose their own path. Somehow, over the millennia, we lost that dream and became oppressors ourselves. The revelation spread across the galaxy faster than Dominion ships could stop it. On world after world, beings who had accepted their place in the hierarchy for generations began to ask dangerous questions. If the Dominion was founded by rebels, Why was rebellion now forbidden? If the natural order was just the opinion of whoever happened to be strongest, why not change it? As the final arbiter approached the Sol system, Fleet Admiral Young-Soo Park assembled the largest fleet in human history to meet it. Ships from Earth, but also vessels from dozens of liberated worlds, flying together under a new flag, not the banner of any single species, but a simple symbol representing choice. But the most important change wasn't military, it was psychological. For the first time in 3,000 years, the galaxy was full of beings who believed they had alternatives. Resistance Coordinator Vel Nara, speaking for the growing alliance of free worlds, sent a message that was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. To all beings everywhere, you have choices. You have always had choices. The only power any authority has over you is the power you give them. Today we choose to take that power back. High Curator Zelmoth, watching her ancient empire crumble as world after world declared independence, made one last desperate transmission. Chaos, you are choosing chaos over order. Without hierarchy, without control, the galaxy will tear itself apart. The response came not from the humans, but from Quinzara, speaking for billions of newly free beings. Perhaps. But if we destroy ourselves, at least it will be our choice to make. As the final arbiter entered the Sol system, its massive bulk, bristling with weapons capable of destroying planets, it faced not just Earth's defenses but the combined fleets of dozens of species who had decided that. Fleet Admiral Young-Soo Park had commanded many battles, but nothing like this. Through the bridge windows of the Earth battleship Determination, he could see the final arbiter approaching, a metal moon bristling with weapons that had been silent for 5,000 years. Around him flew the strangest fleet in galactic history, human ships alongside vessels from dozens of freed worlds, all united by the simple belief that no one had the right to enslave another. Admiral, final count is in, reported Captain Daeho, Kim from the Resilience. We have 847 ships from 73 different worlds. The Dominion force escorting the final arbiter numbers about 200. Any word from Chief Engineer Song on our secret weapon? She says it will either work perfectly or blow us all up. No middle ground. Young-Soo smiled grimly. Chief Engineer Daun, Song had been working around the clock on humanity's most desperate gamble, a way to turn the Dominion's own psychology against them. And Ambassador Korthul, broadcasting from the Veltar ship Strong Choice. He's got more defectors ready to transmit when the battle starts. The final arbiter was massive beyond imagination, an artificial moon covered in weapon batteries, shield generators, and armor plating that had survived the collapse of empires. It moved slowly but inexorably toward Earth, surrounded by the last loyal Dominion fleet. Admiral, called the communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the final arbiter. Put it on screen. High Curator Zelmoth appeared, her ancient stone-scaled form filling the display. Behind her stood Senator Mordoon and War Prime Kethvar, along with other Dominion leaders. They looked tired and desperate. Fleet Admiral Park, Zelmoth said, her voice heavy with age and anger. You have doomed the galaxy. Look around you. Chaos spreads to every world. Species that lived in peace for millennia now fight each other for resources. Civilizations that were stable for centuries now tear themselves apart with civil wars. That's what freedom looks like at first, replied Young-Soo. Messy and loud and sometimes painful, but it's better than the quiet of a graveyard. You understand nothing. The final arbiter carries weapons that can destroy star systems. One shot will turn your precious Earth into cosmic dust. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Continue this madness, and we will make an example that the galaxy will remember for 10,000 years. High Curator, let me tell you something about humans, said Young-Soo. We've been fighting bullies our entire history, and we've learned that the biggest, scariest bully is usually the most frightened inside. War Prime Kethvar stepped forward, his shark-like features twisted with rage. Frightened? We command the most powerful weapon ever built. Built by who? Asked Captain Daeho, joining the conversation. Not by you. By people who died thousands of years ago. You're just the caretakers of someone else's power. The truth of those words seemed to hit the Dominion leaders like a physical blow. For a moment, even Zelmoth looked uncertain. Then she straightened, drawing on millennia of authority. Enough words. Witness the price of defying the natural order. The transmission cut off. The final arbiter's weapons began to charge, energy building in arrays the size of cities. The artificial moon's surface glowed with deadly light as systems that had slept for millennia awakened. All ships, commence attack pattern Gamma, ordered Youngsu. Remember, we're not trying to destroy that thing. We're trying to get inside it. The battle began with a fury that lit up space like a new star. The final arbiter's weapons fired in massive beams that could vaporize capital ships in seconds. But Chief Engineer Da-Yun's new human vessels were designed around a simple principle. Don't be where the enemy expects you to be. The human ships moved in patterns that made no sense to Dominion computers. Instead of flying in formation, they scattered like startled birds. Instead of attacking the strongest points, they targeted seemingly random locations. Instead of trying to match the final arbiter's massive firepower, they used speed and unpredictability. Admiral, the Veltar ships are reporting success on the northern hemisphere, called the tactical officer. They've breached 3 weapon clusters. Good. What about the Zephyrian cloud dancers? They've disabled 2 shield generators by flying through the gaps in the energy field. The Dominion never designed defenses against beings made of gas. That was the key to the human strategy. For 3,000 years, the Dominion had fought the same type of enemy, species that surrendered immediately. They had no experience against opponents, who used unconventional tactics, who attacked in ways that made no sense according to standard military doctrine. But the final arbiter was still incredibly dangerous. Its ancient weapons claimed dozens of ships, turning brave crews into expanding clouds of plasma. Youngsu felt each loss like a knife to his heart. Admiral Chief Engineer Song is ready for the final phase, reported Captain Daeho. Do it. Across the fleet, human ships began broadcasting on frequencies the Dominion had never heard before. But these weren't military communications. They were historical records, transmitted directly to the final arbiter's communication systems. Ambassador Korthul's voice echoed through space. Dominion crews, I am broadcasting from the Archive of Truth. Listen to the words of your own founders, recorded 5,000 years ago. The voice that followed was ancient, speaking in the old Dominion language, but the translation was clear. We fight not for conquest, but for freedom. We fight not to dominate the weak, but to give all beings the right to choose their own path. Let this war be the last war, and let the peace that follows be built on respect, not fear. On the final arbiter, something unprecedented happened. Dominion crew members stopped firing their weapons. Not all of them, but enough to matter. Communications channels filled with arguments as officers tried to restore order, but confusion spread through the massive weapon like a plague. The psychological attack is working, reported the communications officer. We're receiving surrender signals from 12 Dominion escort ships. But High Curator Zelmoth was not finished. Her voice boomed across all frequencies. Lies, ancient propaganda. I will fire the core weapon myself if I must. The final arbiter's central weapon began to charge, a device designed to crack planets like eggs. Youngsu watched the energy readings climb and knew they had only minutes before Earth died. All ships, final assault. We go in together or not, at all. What happened next would be remembered as the greatest charge in galactic history. Ships from dozens of worlds, flying dozens of different designs, all converged on the final arbiter simultaneously. Human vessels designed for speed, Veltar ships built for ramming, Zephyrian energy dancers that could phase through solid matter, and dozens of other species, each using their unique abilities in harmony. The Dominion defenses, designed to fight conventional attacks, couldn't handle the chaos. Too many different tactics, too many impossible maneuvers, too many weapons that didn't work the way weapons were supposed to work. Chief Engineer Da-Eun's ship, the Innovation, managed to reach the final arbiter's core weapon just as it was about to fire. Instead of trying to destroy it, she used a technique that would have been impossible for any other species. She hacked it. Humans had spent centuries learning to break into computer systems they weren't supposed to access. The final arbiter's security was powerful but ancient, designed by beings who had never imagined someone would try to reprogram their ultimate weapon during battle. The core weapon fired, but instead of destroying Earth, its massive beam lanced out into empty space, vaporizing nothing but vacuum. Core weapon disabled, reported Dayun. But Admiral, you need to see this. I'm in their central computer and the power readings. This thing is falling apart. It's been in storage so long that half its systems are barely functional. You mean the ultimate weapon of the Dominion is broken? Not broken, just old. Really, really old, and no one's done proper maintenance in centuries. Young Su began to laugh. It started as a chuckle but grew into full-blown laughter that he couldn't control. We've been terrified of a museum piece. The final collapse came quickly. With their ultimate weapon proven to be a relic and their escort fleet surrendering, or fleeing, the remaining Dominion forces had no choice but to give up. High Curator Zelmoth's final transmission was filled with exhaustion rather than rage. It is over. The ancient order dies with me. I do not know what will come next. But I pray it will be kinder than what we built. As the final arbiter powered down its weapons and surrendered, Young Su looked around at the fleet surrounding his ship. Beings from dozens of worlds, flying together not because they were forced to, but because they chose to. Admiral, said Captain Deho, we're receiving congratulations from across the galaxy. Over 300 worlds have declared independence in the last hour. The Dominion is finished. No, said Young Su, watching rescue ships move to help damaged vessels regardless of what species they came from. The Dominion is finished, but something new is beginning. Resistance Coordinator Velnara sent a message that was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. To all beings everywhere, the age of enforced order is over. What comes next will be decided by all of us together. It won't be perfect, and it won't be easy, but it will be ours. As the combined fleet began the journey home, carrying news of victory to 1,000 worlds, Young Su reflected on what they had accomplished. The massive shadow fell across New York City at exactly noon. Admiral Tae-min stood on the observation deck of the Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching as the alien ship blocked out the sun. The ship was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It stretched for miles across the sky, its dark metal surface covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. Sir, we're getting a transmission, said Lieutenant Dayun from the communication station behind him. Her voice was steady, but Tae-min could hear the fear underneath. Everyone was afraid. How could they not be? This was first contact, and it was not going the way anyone had hoped. Tae-min turned away from the window and walked to the main screen. Put it through. The screen flickered, then showed something that made several people in the room take a step back. The alien was tall and thin with skin that looked like green leather. Its eyes were large and black, and when it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. I am Commander Vexistar of the Galactic Council, the alien said. Your species will listen and obey. Tae-min stepped forward. I am Admiral Tae-min of the Earth Defense Force. What do you want? The alien's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile, but it looked more like a snarl. Want? We do not want, we take. Your planet has been marked for harvest. Your species will be processed according to Council protocols. What does that mean? Tae-min asked, though he was afraid he already knew. Your strongest will become workers, in our minds. Your smartest will have their knowledge extracted and added to our databases. The rest will be modified to serve as basic labor units. You have 72 hours to prepare your surrender. The communication ended, leaving the room in complete silence. Tae-min looked around at his staff. Some were pale with shock. Others looked angry. Captain Dong-hyun, his second in command, was the first to speak. Sir, what are our options? Tae-min was quiet for a moment. He thought about his daughter, about all the children on Earth who would never grow up free if the aliens got their way. He thought about the art and music and literature that would be lost forever. He thought about the human spirit, which had never bowed to any conqueror. Get me President Kim on the secure line, he said finally, and contact all defense installations worldwide. It's time to activate the Shadow Protocol. Dayun looked confused. Sir, what's the Shadow Protocol? Taimin smiled grimly. Something we hoped we'd never need to use. But first, we need to buy some time. Over the next few hours, more alien ships arrived. They positioned themselves over major cities around the world. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Berlin. Each one now had a massive council ship hanging in its sky like a sword ready to fall. The ships didn't attack, but they didn't need to. Their presence alone was enough to cause panic in the streets below. In his private office, Taemin made several calls. The first was to Dr. Hyunwoo at the secret research facility in Antarctica. The second was to engineer So Young at the lunar construction site that officially didn't exist. The third was to Commander Jae Sung, whose location was classified at a level so high that most governments didn't know about it. Each conversation was brief and used code words that would mean nothing to anyone listening in. But Taemin knew his message was understood. After 50 years of preparation, it was finally time. The alien commander Vextar appeared on screens around the world that evening. His message was simple and terrifying. Your governments have been contacted. Surrender protocols are being transmitted now. Any resistance will result in the immediate destruction of your largest population centers. Your compliance is not optional. But what the aliens didn't know was that Earth's governments had been preparing for this day for decades. The first alien scout ship that had arrived 50 years ago had been destroyed, but not before human scientists had learned everything they could from its wreckage. Dr. Minho, Hyunwoo's mentor, had spent his entire career reverse engineering alien technology and improving on it. In a bunker deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, So Young put the finishing touches on humanity's greatest secret. The weapon system she had designed would turn the Council's own technology against them. Every alien ship in Earth's orbit was about to become a target for their own weapons. On the far side of the moon, massive doors that had been hidden for 30 years began to open. Commander Jae Sung watched as Earth's secret fleet powered up. For the first time, the ships were smaller than the Council vessels, but they were faster, smarter, and equipped with technology that the galaxy had never seen before. Captain Yoonji stood in the hangar bay of the hidden asteroid base, looking at her squadron of stealth fighters. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering, invisible to alien sensors and armed with weapons that could punch through any known shield technology. Pilots, she said over the intercom, you've trained for this your whole lives. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for the right to exist as free human beings. Back on Earth, Admiral Taemin addressed the Global Defense Network. Military leaders from every nation listened as he spoke. They think we're just another primitive species to add to their collection, he said. They think we'll roll over and submit because they have bigger ships and older technology. They're about to learn why Earth has never been conquered by anyone and why it never will be. As the second day dawned, the Council ships began moving into bombardment positions. Commander Vextar sent another message to Earth's governments, this time more impatient. Your compliance window is closing. Prepare your strongest specimens for collection. Resistance will only make the processing more painful, but in secret facilities around the world and throughout the solar system, humans were making their own preparations. Dr. Hyunwoo activated the quantum communication network that would coordinate humanity's response. Engineer So Young began the power-up sequence for the orbital defense platforms that the aliens couldn't see. The Council had ruled the galaxy for over 1,000 years. They had conquered 847 different species, each one falling in line after a simple show of force. Their massive ships and superior technology had never failed to break the spirit of those they encountered. They had never encountered humans before. As the final hours of the ultimatum ticked away, Admiral Taemin stood once again at his observation window, looking up at the alien ship that blotted out the sky. But this time, he wasn't afraid. This time he was smiling. Sir, Lieutenant Dayun said from behind him. All stations report ready. Taemin nodded. Then let's show our guests what Earth hospitality really looks like. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and the Galactic Council had no idea what they were really facing. President Sujin Bei stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station, watching ships from 100 different worlds dock at the orbital platform. 2 years had passed since the fall of the Dominion, and the galaxy was learning what freedom actually meant. It was messier than anyone had expected. President Bei called Ambassador Hyun Woo Shin as he approached with his daily briefing pad. The Galactic Council session begins in an hour. Are you ready for today's chaos? Sujin smiled. What's the crisis today? The Veltar Mining Collective wants to establish trade routes with the Zephyrian gas dancers, but they can't agree on exchange rates. The former Dominion agricultural worlds are arguing about who owns which orbital farms. And 3 different species are claiming the same star system because the Dominion records are incomplete. Sounds like a normal day in a free galaxy, said Sujin. Any violence? Surprisingly, no. Lots of arguing, lots of threats to stop trading with each other, but no actual fighting. The mediation principles we established seem to be working. Through the observation windows, Sujin could see the proof of their success. Ships that had once been built only for war now carried cargo between worlds. Species that had been forbidden to communicate for centuries were sharing technology, art, and ideas. It was chaotic and loud and sometimes frustrating. It was also beautiful. President, said a new voice. Research Director Yoonji Kim approached with her usual excited energy. I have the latest reports from the Technology Exchange Program. Good news or bad news? Amazing news. The Christech species, you remember. They were classified as Category 12 by the Dominion and forced to work in factories. It turns out they're mathematical geniuses. They just solved 3 physics problems that have puzzled humans for decades. And the soft voices, who were only allowed to grow food, have developed a new form of poetry that uses sound waves to create 3-dimensional art. The Veltar have invented a new type of engine that's faster than anything the Dominion ever built. And the Zephyrians are teaching us how to build cities out of controlled weather. Sujin shook her head in amazement. The Dominion kept all this talent locked away for thousands of years. It gets better. Remember the Dominion's primitive species, the ones ranked below humans? 6 of them have already made breakthrough discoveries in fields the Dominion said they were incapable of understanding. What about our former enemy? Research Director Yoonji pulled up another section of her report. Former High Curator Zelmoth has been surprisingly helpful. Her research into Dominion history has revealed dozens of lost civilizations that were completely erased from the records. We're helping some of them rebuild their cultures from archived data. Ambassador Hyunwoo checked his timepiece. President, we should head to the council chamber. Today's session is going to be interesting. The Galactic Council chamber was unlike anything the old Dominion would have recognized. Instead of rigid hierarchy with the strongest species on top, it was arranged in concentric circles where every world had an equal voice. The noise level was tremendous. Dozens of species all talking at once, debating, arguing, and occasionally laughing. Council members, called Coordinator Thexani, a being who looked like a cross between an octopus and a butterfly. Today we addressed the proposal from the Kepler Coalition. Quinsara of the Veltar stood to address the assembly. Fellow free beings, we have a problem that requires cooperation. The Dominion's collapse left huge areas of space without any government at all. Some regions are thriving, but others are struggling. Pirates are raiding trade ships. Some worlds are having resource shortages. A few places have local warlords trying to set up their own little dominions. A voice from the Christech delegation chimed like bells. What do you propose? A volunteer patrol service. Ships from different worlds working together to help where help is needed. Not to conquer or control, but to assist and protect. The debate that followed was intense but friendly. The Zephyrians worried about giving anyone too much power. The farming worlds wanted guarantees that trade routes would be protected. The manufacturing species offered to build patrol ships at cost. Former Senator Mordoon, his metal form now decorated with symbols from dozens of worlds, raised a point that quieted the chamber. In the old Dominion, this decision would have been made by 5 beings in a closed room. Now we have representatives from over 400 worlds debating it openly. This is what democracy looks like. President Su-jin stood to address the council. 2 years ago, humans were told we were Category 9, barely intelligent. Today, we're working as equals with species the Dominion ranked far above us. The truth is, there are no superior or inferior species. There are only different kinds of intelligence, different ways of seeing problems, different solutions to try. A new voice spoke from the gallery, former High Curator Zelmoth, her ancient form now bearing the scars of age and regret. President, Bay is correct. I spent 3,000 years believing that hierarchy was natural law. I was wrong. Watching this council work together has taught me something the Dominion never understood. Diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. The vote on the patrol service passed with overwhelming support, but more importantly, the process showed how far they had all come. Instead of one species imposing its will on others, hundreds of worlds found a solution together. After the session, President Su-jin found herself in the station's recreational area, watching beings from dozens of worlds socializing together. A group of young Veltar were teaching human children how to build crystal sculptures. Zephyrian cloud dancers were playing a game that looked like three-dimensional chess with Christek mathematicians. Former Dominion loyalists sat alongside former rebels, all arguing cheerfully about the best way to organize trade routes. President, said a familiar voice. Captain Daeho Kim approached, but he was wearing civilian clothes now. Ready for the big announcement? As ready as anyone can be for launching the first multi-species exploration fleet. Through the large windows, they could see the ships assembled for humanity's greatest adventure yet. Not just human vessels, but ships from 40 different worlds, all volunteering to explore the unknown regions beyond the old Dominion borders. Admiral Young-Soo Park, now commander of the exploration fleet, sent a message from his flagship. President, Bay, we're ready for departure. Our mission is simple: find new friends among the stars. And if you encounter another empire like the old Dominion, then we'll teach them about a very human concept: peer pressure. Amazing what you can accomplish when everyone's working together. Coordinator Thexani fluttered over to join the conversation. President Bay, we're receiving reports from the Outer Rim. 17 new species have requested contact with the Galactic Council. They've heard about our impossible society where everyone gets to choose their own path. What did you tell them? The same thing we tell everyone. You have a choice. You can join us as equals, or you can go your own way, or you can just trade with us and stay independent. The only thing we don't accept is slavery. As the exploration fleet departed carrying representatives from dozens of worlds into unknown space, President Su-jin reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy was noisier now, more chaotic, sometimes more difficult. But it was also more alive than it had been in millennia. Former High Curator Zelmoth approached, moving slowly with the weight of her years and her guilt. President Bay, may I ask you something? Of course. Do you ever wonder if we'll make mistakes? If this freedom you've given the galaxy might lead to new conflicts, new problems we can't imagine? Su-jin looked out at the bustling station, at beings from hundreds of worlds working together, arguing together, building something new together, every day. But here's what I've learned. Mistakes you make for yourself are better than perfection imposed by someone else. Research Director Yoon-ji rushed up with her latest report, practically glowing with excitement. President, the Cultural Exchange Program has produced something amazing. The soft voices and the Christek have collaborated on a new art form that combines mathematical equations with musical harmony. The Veltar engineers and human designers have created a new type of ship that can transform based on what it needs to do, and the farming worlds are sharing techniques that could double food production across the galaxy. And the problems? Oh, lots of those too. Resource disputes, cultural misunderstandings, trade disagreements, territorial arguments. Democracy is messier than dictatorship. But it's also more creative, more innovative, more alive. Under the Dominion, nothing changed for thousands of years. In 2 years of freedom, we've made more progress than the galaxy made in the previous millennium. A chime sounded through the station, the daily message from the exploration fleet. Admiral Young-Soo's voice carried clearly. This is Admiral Park reporting from day 15 of our mission. We've made contact with a new species called the Harmony Singers. They were initially suspicious because they'd heard stories about galactic empires that conquer and enslave. When we explained that we're not an empire, that we're just a bunch of different species who chose to work together, they were fascinated. They want to send a delegation to see our impossible society for themselves.